I was going to start singing Tears in Your Eyes, but I'm not going to, Mags. I'm going to cover Syrup today. Actually, I've got a tweet about it, which I put out on Binance a few hours ago. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. Testing 1, 2, 3. Everything seems to be working. It's quiet at the Western Front. I think there's me. I think there's Mags. And I think there's Hidden Agendas over on the other channel. Good morning to everybody who's watching on Binance Square. Simu, good morning, BNB. We have Tin, who lost all of his money in crypto. We have a few names which I can't pronounce. Good morning to you all. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, everybody. It is January the 13th, 2026, 11 a.m. Central European Time, 10 a.m. at UTC, and also 10 a.m. in the UK. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. We have a really good show today. We like to talk about a lot of different things on the show. Sometimes we get a little bit bogged down with talking about cycles or talking about ETFs and that kind of stuff. Today, I've tried to mix it up a bit so we've got a little bit more range in our knowledge. We are still going to look at the X-Files. We'll still look at the market, see where prices are. Vitalik has said that the Bitcoin maxis are right. What is he talking about? We're going to talk about privacy coins. Again, I will die on this hill of privacy coins. We're going to talk about Solana moving. We're going to talk about the World Liberty Financial new website going live. We're going to talk about A16Z predictions, 3 coins to watch in January, and then we're going to finish with the EU stablecoin nonsense that's going on over there. Not really very exciting. But you'll notice during these streams, if there's something I think is important, but I don't think is very interesting, I stick it at the end of the stream. It's like when you go and do your shopping in your supermarket. You get the nice things first, the snacks, the meat, the veg, and then at the end you might have to throw in a box of tissues. Well, unfortunately, the EU stablecoin conversation is a box of tissues. It's not very exciting, but it's something you need to know about, especially if you are in Europe, because at this moment in time, as I've been saying for months and months and months, we talk about the world reserve currency, and we talk about the dollar fading. The dollar is 99.999% of the global Web3 reserve currency. There is nothing else but the dollar. And the EU kicking the can down the road just shows how embarrassing they are. So, we've got a lot to talk about. First thing is first, I need to close down the Binance chat so I can get going. Simu, I lost my money. Can you give me some money? No, we are not a charity. I am not a charity. This is not a charity. I'm sorry you lost all of your money, but if I gave everybody who asked for money, I would have no money. And that wouldn't be very good, would it? So let's go and have a look at the prices. Bitcoin coming in above 92,000 USD based dollars, 92,200. Ethereum back at 3150-ish. BNB, it did it. It got back above $900. It was actually about $915 this morning when I checked, which is really good. XRP, you'll notice the 7-day on XRP is showing minus 12%. But I don't care about that. I care about XRP holding $2. And you will look and you will see with your eyeballs, BNB and XRP are fighting for that 4th position. Who is the 3rd biggest cryptocurrency in the world? Is it BNB? Is it XRP? Who knows? I do have a poll question of the day. The poll question of the day is a simple one. Who will win, Trump or Powell? That's the question of the day. Drop your comment in chat. Donald Trump versus Jerome Powell. Who will win? Now, by winning, Powell stays till he resigns in May. That's Powell winning. Trump winning is forcing Powell to resign. Who is going to win? Now, because there are tumbleweeds blowing across chat, we only have a few responses. 67% have said Trump, 33% have said Powell. Good morning to KB. Good morning to Manjeet. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. So, let's go back over here. As we were saying. So, which is going to be the biggest coin, BNB or XRP? Who's going to take that position? Solana coming in at 141. We're going to talk about Solana today. Tron, I don't know why. You know what? I might just ban Tron and Dogecoin from the stream. I might just start making a list of things that I refuse to talk about. Bitcoin Cash being the other one. Cardano is coming in at 40 cents. It's not moving. Monero is up to 11th. That's up 50% in 7 days. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to keep talking about that until I am blue in the face. What is interesting is Hype has fallen to 15th position. You might not have noticed, but it has. Monero and Bitcoin Cash have been pushing up, and Chainlink and Hype and Leo have started falling a little bit back into the pack. But that is to be expected. We saw the same thing with Sui. We saw the same thing if we go down to Toncoin. Coins have their moment in the spotlight, and I think Monero is there right now. So that's what's happening in the markets. 24 gainers and losers. Dash is up 38.74%. Please don't chase tornadoes. You're likely to be thrown around in the sky with cows. Story is up. Monero is up. Chills, an absolute waste of space, is up as well. Pump.fun. I have Pump.fun. I think it will do well in the long term. Near is up, but again, it's nowhere near where it should be. Pardon the pun. Stacks is up. Celestia is up. Aave is up just a touch. Losers then over the last 24 hours. Lighter, this is the second day of losses for Lighter. Might be a good entry point at some point for Lighter. Circulating supply, however, only 25% of coins in circulation. That might be an indication. Midnight is down. Is it losing its spark? Are the lights going to go out on night? That's the question. Render is down. Polygon is down. XDC FET is down a little bit. Not many losers at all, really. So, as is customary, we've got some X-Files. There is a lot of X-Files today because there's a lot of bits of news which may have, you may have missed them, and these are little snippets. I'm just keeping an eye on chat to make sure everybody is here. Forget Tron. I wish we could. Now, the odds of parachuting down and being attacked by a kangaroo is very low but never zero. These are the same odds as you buying all of your favourite meme coins and one of them doing 1000x. Okay? The odds are very low but never zero. And again, if there's any hopium for you out there for your bag of fart or your bag of useless, it's this. Okay? You can descend and be attacked by a kangaroo at any point in your life, and that's something I think we need to take away from today's show, is that A, kangaroos are vicious little so-and-sos, okay, and B, there is never a 0% chance that your coin is not going to do 1000x, so there's some hope for you. The last 90 days are just an opportunity for someone that's got clear eyes to buy more Bitcoin, says Sailor. Traders are chasing highs. Serious Capital is focused on adoption, custody, and performance. Short-term price action is noise, and there he is. He is the, when you're all in, you only have one way to go, and that is further in. There is no way out for Sailor. He has to back Bitcoin. Anything that comes out of his mouth that is negative towards Bitcoin, you should run a million miles away from strategy. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warns President Trump that Powell probe made a mess and may hurt markets. Everybody's talking about this. Separation of power does not exist at this moment in time in America. But again, we always talk about finalities, don't we? The greatest ever, the worst ever, the end of, the beginning of. Everything is clickbaity these days. And it's BS. When the Roman Empire fell, I am sure there was a lot of people going, this is the end of the world. And yet here we are, 2,000 years later, with girls dressed as Pikachu dancing on TikTok. We have survived, have we not? There will come a time when there is a reform in a government and they will re-emphasize the separation of power. And, if you're young and you're looking at this for the first time, you'll think Donald Trump is some kind of tyrant and he's running his merry way through hundreds of years of protocols, and you'd be right in some respects. But again, this too shall pass. Yeah? The very overweight people in Star Trek that are wearing glasses, even though it's 2,000 years into the future, who have nose rings and blue hair, that too shall pass. The changing of the lightsaber colours, this too shall pass. All of these things are just fads that will pass. And Trump will pass. And if you're English, there's a double entendre in there for you as well. Crypto YouTube viewership plunges to 5-year lows after a 3-month decline, signalling bear market conditions and waning retail interest. I have to tell you something. It's brutal. The videos we used to make, A bad video would get 500 to 1,000 views. A good video, some of our videos have done 10, 20, 50,000 views. It's brutal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say poor me, because that's not what I'm showing you. What I'm showing you is that everybody's left, okay? This is like The Walking Dead, right? There's me, there's Mags, and there's KB, and we're eating 3 tins of cold baked beans, right? That's it. And there's a horde of zombies outside going after gold and silver. That's it. There's nobody left. And they never came back after 2021. So when we started our channel in June 2022, what we did was we picked the greatest moment in crypto history to start a crypto channel. We started it after the party. We turned up at 4 a.m. with a bottle of Carver and a bag of Vol-au-Vents. Hey guys, we're here. Crypto Warehouse is here. And the party'd finished. The party finished in 2021. And it's never come back. We've had a few little wicks here or there, but it's never come back. And what's important about this is retail is not here. There is no retail. They've all gone. And we had nothing of a spike. We didn't even have euphoria, which is caused by retail. They never came back. And this, just to put this into context, this 5-year low of people watching YouTube videos about crypto, this also takes into account the FTX crash, the Luna crash, everything that ruined crypto back then. Viewership is lower today than during that period. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. But anyway, there's 3 of us here. That's the most important thing. And in a few years' time, when there's still 3 of us here, we'll look back and say, do you remember when there was 3 of us back then? Yeah, there's still 3 of us today, isn't there? Yeah, there is. The US CPI data comes out today early. I think this is in about 3 or 4 hours' time. 2.7%. CPI, it's probably going to come in between 2.6 and 2.8. I don't really care about this at this moment in time, because Trump trying to get rid of Powell is the headline act, I think, for everything. Now then, this is Murad. Now, Murad, he was your idol, wasn't he? He was the guy that was going to make you all absolutely stinking rich. He was the guy that was going to turn your bags of useless coins into hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you remember this guy? Long hair and a beard. He is down from his peak at about 63, 65, $67 million. He has lost $50 million of his $67 million in wealth, and he is down to $18.5 million. And everybody out there who is saying, oh, well, what a dude, he held. What an idiot. If you buy a token, I don't know, useless, for $1, and it goes to $15 or $12, you take your profit. Okay? You owe nobody else anything. You don't owe me. You don't owe anybody. You don't owe CZ. You don't owe Binance. You don't owe anybody anything, okay? If you are up 3, 5, 7, 900%, you take profit. You don't hang around, because it's called round tripping. And what that means is you buy $1,000 worth of crypto, you watch it go to $8,000 or $9,000, and then you watch it all the way back down towards $2,000 or $3,000. And yes, you're still in a profit, but you've round tripped all of that profit. Don't be like Murad, okay? Take your profits along the way. Last summer, we sold Moon token when it ripped to the upside. We sold Syrup token when it ripped to the upside. And you know what? They both went a little bit higher. And then you know what? They both came way, way further down than when we sold. So we sold Syrup about 40 cents, 42 cents. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We sold Moon on the listing pump. We took profits. What did we do? We bought microphones, we bought cameras, we bought stuff. Do I regret selling them? No. Would I have regretted selling them at 40 cents if it went to $2? No, I wouldn't, because the token cost me 12 cents and 13 cents. I made 3x my money. I don't care. The problem that you have and the mindset you've got to get out of is it's like you're like that dog that's bit somebody and it's got lockjaw and you can't get the jaw out. You're holding on to these bags with dear life. If you're in profit, serious profit, take some 10, 20%, 30%, wherever it might be. Now, you might not want to hear this right now when the markets are down, but when we go back to $100,000 and we get a little mini alt season and everything rallies, let's say XRP goes back towards 250, 275, and you bought at 30 or 40 cents, you take some profit off the table. You don't sell all, you sell 10, 20, 30% of XRP. Same with Cardano. If Cardano goes back towards 50, 60 cents, you take some profits. And then you sit on a bag of cash and you wait for a retracement, or you wait for the bear market in the summer. You do whatever you need to do, but you have some dry powder. Take your profits. Don't be Murad. Okay, maybe that should be our slogan. Don't be Murad. Now, a little bit of inception here, because we are live on Binance Square, but we're going to stream this from Binance Square. This is what I was, Mags asked in chat just before we went live. Everybody's talking about the $100,000 Bitcoin, but the battle of the ages is Syrup taking 40 cents. Okay? An entire week, and this screenshot doesn't maybe do it justice. An entire week fighting at 40 cents. And yes, we're at 40.22 cents, but we have been above 40 cents. This is a magnificent battle, okay? It's been going on for exactly 1 week. I think this started on the 6th of January. It's now the 13th. 7 days of fighting at 40 cents. And this is a cracking fight, okay? Now, this isn't doing it any justice because this is on the daily chart. But what this signifies for Syrup, we've got back above the bull market support band, and we are holding it. Now, if we go back, and you can't see my cursor on the screen, to the last time this happened, we broke up and then we came down to the bottom of the bull market support band. We tried to get back above it, and then we absolutely tanked. And that coincided with the rest of the market. We are now at that point again. And if we go higher, we are likely to see 45 to 50 cents. So this is an important fight right now for Maple Finance. And again, you might have bought at 13 or 14 cents with us. You might have still have held it. You might have been getting a little bit worried when we came down to 26, 27 cents. The project is 4 or 5 times bigger now than it was. Actually, no, it's more. It's probably 12 times bigger as a project today as it was exactly 12 months ago. And the AUM broke $5 billion. It was $350 million at the start of last year. So it really did ramp up. So in answer to the question for Mags, I am likely to take some profits, going back to the profit-taking thing. Depending on where this breaks up to, I am likely to take some profits very soon out of Syrup. Because if we say, okay, well, what's 4 times 12, 48, 4 times 13, 52. So if I can 4x my money in 6 months, why wouldn't I take some profits? So maybe I sell a third of the bag. But I am thinking about it, Mags, in answer to your question. So I hope that does answer your question. Now we're going to get on with some real hard-hitting analysis. I started following Crypto Warehouse in 2023. I don't regret it at all. Quite the opposite. Thank you for that comment, Mags. And good morning, Solo Sky. I hope you are well. We've had some ups and downs, I would say, but we've lived the events that have happened. We've had tariff wars. We've had various different places being invaded. We've had different people going to prison. We've had Trump win the election. We've had a lot of things happen to us, I would say. But we've lived it together, which I think is quite nice. And for those of you out there that are new to the channel, over time, we get to know people's personalities. Even though we only read a few messages every stream, we do get to know who people are. Whether it be KB, Mags, Kishan, Solo Sky, and other people have left us, remember? Do you remember the crazy Australian? We had a crazy Australian a couple of years ago that would come into chat and say, I've sold everything and bought Aerodrome. And then a few weeks later, I've sold Aerodrome and I've bought Mantra. I've sold Mantra. And he would just come into chat. And then one day, I think he'd lost everything. He came into chat and went, I've had enough of crypto, and then left. And then we haven't seen him since. And I'd love to see or know what happened to that Australian guy. Now, Vitalik Buterin says Bitcoin maxis were right. Calls for a new sovereign web. VB said the Bitcoin maxis were largely right about sovereignty, arguing today's internet quietly strips users of privacy and autonomy. And this is quite a big theme of today's show is privacy, because after this we're going to be talking about privacy coins. So it's kind of all in one and the same thing. And I know what the hype is right now. I don't care about the hype. It's not about the hype. It's about trying to analyze what's going on. And that's important, because if you chase a tornado, as I said at the beginning of the show, if you catch that tornado, you're likely to spin around in the clouds with a dog called Toto and a cow and maybe a barn. And then at some point, that tornado is going to pass and you're going to fall 100 foot. That's what happens when you start chasing some of these coins. So just be careful, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So he has said that digital sovereignty is basically the battleground of Web3 at this moment in time. And it's more than just resistance to governments. Instead, it's a fight to protect privacy, attention, and autonomy from profit-driven online platforms. This came in a response to a post from Tom Cruise, who predicted that the internet would split into three parts: open web, heavily controlled fortress web, and a smaller encrypted sovereign web built on trust. Buterin said he agrees with 60% of the outlook, highlighting what he called a long overlooked divide between user-controlled systems and corp-o-slop. He actually talked about the walkaway, didn't he? Yesterday or the day before, he talked about the walkaway test, which is, if every single dev for Ethereum walked away from Ethereum today, would it survive? If everybody walked away from Bitcoin today, would it survive? And I don't mean for a minute. I mean for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Would Bitcoin survive? And I think depending on which platform you look at, depending on which blockchain you look at, I think some, you could certainly look maybe a year or two down the line and say it would still be there. Others, I would say no. So he described corp-o-slop as a mixture of corporate power, polished branding, and behavior that quietly works against users. Examples included attention-grabbing social feeds, large-scale data harvesting, closed platforms that block links to rivals, and repetitive, risk-averse media output. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Building the sovereign web, what this could look like. Buterin outlined what he believes a user-first internet should prioritize. That includes local-first apps that limit data sharing, social platforms that give people direct control over what they see, and financial tools that avoid pushing extreme risk-taking. He also backed open, privacy-focused AI systems that support human work instead of replacing it. Again, I think the problem with Vitalik is he has an idealistic outlook on life. Now, maybe the best way to look at an idealistic outlook on life is to look at the fashion industry and the car industry. You turn up to a fashion show and you see a woman walking down the, whatever it's called, aisle with a paper bag on her head. That is the idealistic view of the fashion trend. It's not what you go and buy in your shop that summer. You'll buy a t-shirt that might have a print of a paper bag on it. You go to a car expo and you see this car and you tap the car and the car goes purple, you tap it again and it goes green. That's an idealistic car, that's the prototype. And what you derive from that, the same with Formula One, you take the best bits of Formula One and you put it into cars, you know, anti-brake steering or anti-lock steering, whatever it's called. Vitalik's got a very idealistic view of Web3 and crypto, and he looks at things from that very idealistic point of view, and what comes out the other end is a more watered down result, but it has to be watered down to be accepted, because you know what happens with extremists of any political persuasion. You can't have an idealistic political persuasion in either direction, because it was always end up in the wrong way. A dictator is as close as you get to an idealistic standpoint, and that is both the left and the right. So he does need to have that in some respects, but I think he lacks just a little bit of common sense sometimes, quite more often than not actually. So the challenge now is cultural as much as technical, with a view to building tools that respect privacy, resist manipulation, and give people room to think and act on their own terms. His closing message was simple: reject systems that drain agency and commit to software that puts users back in control. Now, I do agree with that, but this is coupled with this. And this goes hand in hand with what Vitalik is talking about. And this is really important that you understand this. Dubai blocks privacy coins in 2026. Dubai authorities have unified regulations banning privacy coins and anonymity enhanced in tools across all jurisdictions, effective from January the 12th, 2026. So the Dubai Financial Services Authority and Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority have finalised a comprehensive regulatory environment that leaves no room for anonymity-enhanced digital assets. New rules have reinforced the categorical ban on privacy coins across all of Dubai, including Dubai International Finance Centre, which is a special place that they've built to incubate businesses in Dubai. Very commendable that they have done that. Syrup's going to buy Mags a car. Listen, I've held my syrup, and it is going to repay me. I know that for a fact. So basically, this is aimed directly at the main coins here: Monero, Zcash. There are others, of course. Algorithmic tokens are subject to intense scrutiny. So they've banned them, but this isn't just about Dubai, and we'll get onto that in a second. Dubai's decisive move to prohibit these tokens comes amid a significant global resurgence in privacy-focused assets. In 2025, Zcash and Monero emerged as top-tier digital assets, with the former seeking gains of 700%. The start of 2026 has seen them both grow. Now, this is a very complex subject, which I'm not going to try and kind of divulge everything, or not divulge everything, but break everything down. That's not the point. We cannot have a society that has 100% privacy. We can't have a society that is 100% controlled. They're the two kind of opposing forces, magnetic forces. And what we have to do is we have to battle away in the middle ground, where we retain autonomy, but we also allow the authorities to do their job. We cannot have the bad actors that exist, and the bad actors are only going to get badder, and they're only going to get bigger as the market cap of crypto grows. They may take a smaller percentage of the crypto market in stolen fees and whatever it might be, stolen assets, sorry, but they're still going to be making more money next year than they made last year and the year before and the year before. We cannot allow that to happen. We have seen people shouting at different exchanges, shouting at Circle, shouting at Tether because Tether has locked stolen funds, as if this is some kind of epiphany. What? You can lock Tether? You can lock Circle? Yeah, you can lock a lot more things as well. So don't believe for 1 second that anything else that comes after Bitcoin is Bitcoin, because it isn't. So what does the market do? The market goes towards Zcash and Monero. Now, the question is, who is driving the price of Monero and Zcash? Why is it going up so much? Is it the OGs selling out of Bitcoin and deciding Bitcoin isn't really what they wanted because it's going to be controlled by the men in suits? So we're going to go down the route of privacy tokens. So are the OGs buying privacy tokens? That's one scenario. Is it being pumped by the nefarious people that are stealing money and putting it into Monero and Zcash? Maybe. Is it a hype train where people have gone, you know what happened in 2021 after everything collapsed? All the privacy tokens ran to all-time highs. It's going to happen again. So is it a combination of all three? Is it a FOMO train? Is it the nefarious actors? It could be all of them combined. What is the driving factor behind Monero going up? What is causing this spike in that price. Nobody is telling you this answer because nobody has the answer. But if nobody knows why it's going up, what's to stop it coming all the way back down again? It's being banned. It's already been banned. I made a video over a year ago talking about how Binance had removed this coin in some jurisdictions. You've just seen Dubai, one of the most liberal business centres in the world at this moment in time, and obviously great tax incentives to be there. They're banning it. Don't buy this hype. It's not going to end well. Nothing does this and stays there forever. Okay, how does it support this market cap? Maybe it is the OGs, and maybe the OGs are going to hold it, and maybe it stays at $600 or $1,000 for the next 10 years. But at some point, when it's outlawed, how do those OGs get their money out of privacy coins and back into Binance? Because if the coin gets outlawed, the next step is to identify wallets that have traded in those tokens and then stop funds derived from privacy tokens going to exchanges. That's the next step. So you might think you're clever. I'm not going to pay my tax. I'm just going to go buy Monero. And you go and buy Monero, and you've got $10,000 worth of Monero. And then one day, you've got to get it out. How do you get it out? You send it back to Binance. And Binance is going to say, you got this money from Monero. You need to prove source of funds. Because that's what happens with financial institutions. They need source of funds, proof of funds. And then you can't do that. And then you can't get the money out. And then it's trapped in a cycle, and then you've got to go and do nefarious things to get your money out. They're going to close them down. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. They are gone. Privacy tokens are going to be outlawed, and you might have Trump in your corner right now for the next 2 or 3 years, but they're finished. They're finished. They were never going to do it. Once crypto hit mainstream, they were never going to survive, and we're going to look back on this, and people are going to call it the death of freedom and the end of personal responsibility and all this blah, 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 blah. It's not about you. It's about how they can be used to corrupt the system. We don't want them. And personally, in an ideal world without bad people, I'd be happy to have them. But we can't. We can't have nice things because of bad people. Now then, we're going to move on. Good morning, Danny. I hope you are well. Solana price prediction, cancel, hit $152.90, very precise. Don't miss the best 100x crypto window. No. Ignore all of that. That is absolute nonsense. We're going to focus on the Solana price. Now, just a quick reminder of what has happened in the last, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks with Solana. And we're going to see a little bit of this with XRP as well, by the way. And let's move this over here. Let's wait for this to load. Here we go. Now, this, I'm glad sometimes I bring things up and then just want them to say the thing I want them to say without having previously checked it. And luckily, most of the time they play out. So, Solana is up 8% in the last 1 month. But if we go from near the bottom, so let's go down from here, we're at $120. So we've gone up 15% from this bottom, which was kind of the end of December. Everybody'd run out of stream. Everyone was like sad, crying and blaming everybody and, you know, not having a good Christmas. So Solana's up $20 whole. That's where we've come from. That's where we're going to. And everything's kind of doing this. And this is probably the sneakiest pump we've seen in crypto in a while. It's where you've got like it's like a weeping angel price rise. You don't notice Solana at $142 because it's done it so slowly. Like the weeping angel, you look away and it moves. But if you keep looking back at it, it moves really, really slowly. And that's what Solana has done. We haven't covered it in any great depth since the ETFs went live. And that's what I'm going to get to in a second. So, are we going to see $150 plus Solana in the next 3 to 4 weeks? That's the question. Some predictions are talking about $175 later in the year. I think we could see a $200 Solana by the end of the year. So I know I'm bearish, but we've got ETFs live for Solana and XRP, and that's going to make a massive difference. Look what's happened to Ethereum with its ETF. Look what happened to Bitcoin with its ETF. Now, yes, diminishing returns, that's the big thing, but currently we only have 4 major ETFs, don't we? We've got a few stragglers, but we've only really got 4 major ones. So I think Solana is primed to move up considerably by the end of the year, not by the middle of the year. By the middle of the year, I think we're screwed. I think we could break towards $100. But let's not be sad. Let's think about this $150. Is this going to go? What? No, we don't need to talk about this. So basically, let's just focus on the TA bits in this, because this is one of those articles where they're trying to cram in a promotion, which we don't want to talk about on here. So we're at 140. Can it go to 150 or maybe 170? Technicals reflect a steady but mixed setup. RSI is pretty much neutral. Volatility is fairly low. 53% green days, so just over half green days. The 50-day is 131.80. And the 200-day is 172. So if you kind of take the middle ground of that, you're at $150, which is, I think, where we're going to go next. Now, what I think is going to happen, if we go back here, I think very similar to what we were saying about Bitcoin getting to $100,000 and then coming back down. I think Solana is going to get to $150 to $160 and then come back down, because they'll follow Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to go higher in the very, very short term. This is the relief rally we talked about in December. This is a relief rally that's going to take us 95, 98, 100,000. We talked about this yesterday. And Solana and Ethereum and everything else is going to follow. Maybe Ethereum goes to 3,500. Maybe Solana goes to 160, 155. Maybe XRP goes to 250. Maybe Cardano goes back towards 50, 60 cents. They are the kind of the safe space prices. If you remember, we talk about safe space prices, and it's like a mantra, because I'm not saying it because I want it to go to those prices. I'm saying it because they're the prices it goes to in times of moving up or moving down. XRP 250, 275. Cardano, how many times did I say 60 and 80 cents? Solana's safe space is about 175, 160 ish. We might go there. We might not make it that far, but I certainly think we're going to go above 150 in the very, very near term. We've got some bullish news. Now, of course, I want to just temper this with the fact that we've got a really big week this week. CPI, PPI, everybody from the Fed is talking. Powell is about to probably go to war with Trump. It's all going to kick off. But I think we're seeing a really lovely move up. It's a lovely, lovely move. And, you know, if you look at syrup as well, which we had the chart up before, syrup's come a really long way and it's under the radar. So all of these kind of moves up by all of these tokens, it's like the creeping angel growth. They're all just happening in the background and nobody's really talking about them because everybody's focused on Bitcoin not being at 100,000. But I think the alts are having a nice little rally. Now then, this went live yesterday, I believe. The Trump family-linked World Liberty Financial rolls out lending platform for its USD1 stablecoin. The Trump family-backed venture has rolled out a new DeFi app built on Dolomite. Dollar rose 57% following the announcement. Now again, I've covered this before. I'm not going to cover it again. You've got the sitting president of America on the board and owning a very large share of World Liberty Financial. You have got Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. and Barron Trump also up there. And then you have a load of other crypto-related Republicans in there. If you think for 1 minute that this isn't going to be a success, you need to give your head a wobble. Okay? 2 years, 3 years, value extraction and get out. You've seen the movie, okay? You've seen the fortress in the middle of the desert and you send in the 12 crack commandos to take out the bad guy and get out in half an hour, right? This is a 3-year value extraction project, and that is all it is. So you've got 3 years to tap into this, knowing this is what's going to happen. They have got mining partnerships. They have got their own stable coin. They have their own lending platform. They have their own portfolio. Wake up and smell the Bitcoin, maybe. So they've launched this. You can borrow USD1 with ETH, Bitcoin, other stable coins. And what this is like, we talk about Maple Finance a lot. This is the easiest example to explain it. You go along to World Liberty Financial and you've got 10,000 ETH and you want to borrow cash against that ETH. You would use Maple Finance. You would use World Liberty Financial. So Maple Finance now have a bona fide competitor. Better for the industry. You can't have one major player and nothing else. You need to have competition because it drives adoption, it drives growth. And, listen, World Liberty Financial lists this, and I'm a CEO, and I see this and think, well, we've got 100,000 Ethereum over here. Should we go and use these guys? My first question to my researchers is going to be, go and find me the top 5 lending platforms in crypto right now. And they'll go away and they'll come back, and in number 1 position will be Maple Finance. And so it's good for Maple, it's also good for World Liberty Financial, and it's good for the industry. So this rollout is good for USD1. Remember, it's at $3.4 billion. I was only talking about this a few months ago. It was at $1 billion. This is going to be at $10 billion. And this is going to be, just to put it into context, so you understand where I'm coming from this. USD1 is a stable coin, like Circle, like Tether. Circle is at $74 billion. Tether is at $186 billion. We go down here and we're going to see PayPal USD. They've never fixed this. They've never fixed this. In all the years, they've never fixed it. Do better. So you come down here, you've got PayPal USD at 3.6. World Liberty Financial at 3.4. It's been around for 5 minutes, and it's the 32nd largest coin by market cap. It's going to flip this. It's going to start breaking towards 5 billion. So it's going to take out maybe Athena up there as well. Then it's going to be a top 20 coin. You've got no competition until you get to USDC. I guarantee you now, the Trump family want to make USD1 a top 3 stablecoin by the end of his term. Let's say it gets to $20 billion, for argument's sake. That will generate $1 billion a year in revenue from buying US treasuries. So, don't back against them. Don't sit on World Liberty Financial. I don't, by the way, just full disclosure, I don't really own an awful lot of World Liberty Financial because I try and be, as diligent as possible. I hold a lot of Bitcoin. I hold a lot of Ethereum. I don't really hold a lot of anything else. I hold probably less than 10-15% of my portfolio is outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So full disclosure, I don't even know what my World Liberty Financial tokens are, but I'm buying them, and I'm buying the odd $50 here, $50 there. It really isn't a lot of money. But if you look at that chart that I brought up yesterday, which is on Binance Square, which, by the way, nobody saw, I have published what, in my opinion, is a solid list of tokens that you should consider buying. Okay? And every one of them, as I've said yesterday, every one of them, I would be able to defend a case for them. So that's just a reminder. I hold Bitcoin, Link, ETH, Sol, Syrup, Ondo, and World Liberty Financial. I hold all of them. I do not have Hype, Aster. I've got XRP, BNB, Jupe, and ADA. I have Pol and Crow, which are massively disappointing. I don't hold any Atom, Dot, Doge, or Bitcoin Cash. So that is on the Binance Square feed. if you want to go and have a look at that. You don't have to, I'm just saying. So am I massively bullish on World Liberty Financial for the next 2 years? Absolutely. It is going to be shilled. You look at Murad. I know, right? He's got lovely hair and a lovely beard, and he's round-tripped his fortune. We're talking about the President of America and his 3 sons shilling a project for 3 years in Dubai, in Europe, in America, and you're telling me it's not going to be a massive success. Give your head a wobble, okay? You might not like Trump, but this isn't about liking people, it's about making money, and that should always be at forefront. I don't particularly like Brad Garlinghouse, but I think his project will work. I love Charles, love him to bits. He's made the wrong decision stopping putting content on X. It's a bad decision for his project. So you can love people and they can make bad decisions. You can despise people who can make great decisions. Stop being binary like the rest of the nose ring brigade. A16Z reveals 3 crypto predictions for 2026. Venture capital giant Andreessen Horowitz, I think that's probably the first time I've ever tried to pronounce that, has unveiled 3 predictions on how it sees crypto. Now, just as a quick heads up on this, we've got this article. Then we're also going to talk about 3 coins to watch in January. I'll give you my opinion on those 3 coins. And then we're going to finish with a really boring article about stable coins, which you don't have to stay for. Fully understand. There's some crystal balls. I'm not sure those crystal balls are as nice as my crystal balls, but you really don't want to see my crystal balls. They're in a bag. Good. Kishan is coming to chat. Good morning, Kishan. I hope you are well. Let's get back on with it. So, $45 billion VC giant eyeing developments in prediction markets, media, and the potential for a completely new crypto primitive. They are clearly the titles. Let's go through them one by one. So, prediction markets will continue their rapid expansion by integrating with crypto and AI in order to increase transparency, audibility, and deal with much larger volumes, said Hall. We need to learn on new tech like AI, which can improve the survey-taking experience, and crypto, which can provide new ways to prove that poll survey respondents are not bots but humans, amongst other things. So that's prediction number 1. What I would say is predictions markets are gambling, and I don't care how you dress that up. I have a very black and white, and I know I was just talking about binary there. I've got a very black and white moral compass. If a gaming company comes to me and says, will you make videos about our gaming company because we do gaming, I'll make gaming videos. If a gambling company comes to me and says, will you make gambling videos, I'll make gambling videos. If somebody comes to me and say, hey, we're this kind of like super cool exchange and we've got these predictions markets and we kind of do this and we haven't really got any licenses so everyone can lose all of their money, will you make a video about it? I will say no. And the reason is this: predictions markets are gambling. And I don't care who you are, but if you dress it up as anything other than gambling, you're disingenuous, okay? And I know of a certain exchange which I happen to like, and it's not Binance. And they have made a white label predictions market service, and I don't like it. I don't like it because I think it's disingenuous, and I think if they're going to have predictions markets as they want, they need to follow the same rules that every other gambling company needs to follow. They need to have licensing, they need to be auditable, and they need to fall under the jurisdiction of governments. You cannot, in my opinion, allow a predictions market to exist in the ether and then say nobody's in charge of it because somebody somewhere is making billions and billions of dollars. So predictions markets need to either be banned or controlled. Now, if a gambling company, I'm trying to think of one now, 888 comes along and says, we're going to do predictions markets, I would say, well, you already do that because you can bet on a football match or the horses or cricket or tennis or whatever it might be. So you don't need predictions market because you're a gambling company. And they say, oh, well, it's a cool name, we're just going to call it that to start with. Fine. Let them do it. They're licensed. They have the Gamble Responsibly memberships. They have, and this is another thing, I'm not going to go off on a tangent about this, but gaming companies, they're not called gambling companies, it's called gaming companies. Gaming companies have departments and they have teams of people who do welfare checks and make sure you're not gambling too much, and they look after you, okay? And that is their responsibility. That's their responsibility. I guarantee you now, Nobody in that exchange that's making a white label predictions market, and nobody on Polymarket, nobody has a welfare department that checks up on anybody that's on those platforms. For me, the blood is on their hands. So, yes, we need more, but we need more accountability. The second, offered by Justin Thaler, is the advancement of ZKVM's zero-knowledge virtual machines, hitting 10,000x overhead with memory footprints hundreds of megabytes in size, making them fast enough to run on phones and extremely cheap. Thaler says it will finally become possible to get cryptographic proofs of correctness for a reasonable price overhead. This could allow for stronger chain bridging, much easier on-chain verification of off-chain activity, more efficient layer 2 scaling, and a plethora of other use cases. This is boring, I understand, but also applicable. If you look at what Vitalik said a week ago, he was talking about the fact that they've solved the trilemma. The trilemma is I'm going to say it's a 50-year-old problem, which is decentralization, speed, and security. Trilemma, 3 problems: speed, security, and decentralization. Bitcoin is decentralized and secure. Ethereum is decentralized and secure. The layer 2s on Ethereum exist because of speed. You look at Solana, it's quick as nuts, okay? It is a little bit more decentralized than it was, but it's not that decentralized. And it's secure, fairly. It's secure and quick, it's not decentralized. So you have a trilemma. And of course, you're not going to get the perfect panacea. Look at Cardano. Oh my days, is that secure? And it's decentralized. It ain't that quick. It's quicker now, but it's not that quick. So I agree. ZK, zero knowledge proofs, ZK virtual machines is going to speed up everything a lot, and it might solve the problem. But again, it's just kicking the next problem down the road. So if you solve a speed problem with Ethereum, for example, the next problem down the road could be more decentralization, or it could be more security. So just because you solve one little bit of a problem here may cause a problem over here. And that's why it's the trilemma, because there's always going to be somewhere where there is a point of weakness. Lastly, predicts the rise of staked media, or a system that allows media companies to prove they have skin in the game of whatever content they're publishing. Staked media could address the problem of companies using AI and bots to pump out unlimited content from any point of view or persona. The new system wouldn't just embrace the idea of having skin in the game, but ideally also have proof. Now, I spoke to the Oracle about this, and we have changed our strategy on how much polish we add to our content. And you will have noticed, if you look at the screen, I'm a lot bigger down here, and I'm always going to be on here, but I'm a lot bigger down here. The Oracle, he's here, okay, because he's got charts and the prices and things appear on the right, so he appears on the left. I don't have charts, so I sit here behind the screen. Now, the reason is we are going to become, or want to become, more fallible and more human. The only way we are ever going to stand a chance against AI is by being more human. So, we're not going to try and polish the channel to the nth degree. We are not going to try and become Sky News with snazzy graphics and everything else like that. We're going to try and stay as human as possible. And I think that's the only chance we have against winning the bot wars with these types of people. Because the thing I brought up the other day, I think I brought it up the other day, 2% of articles this time last year were written by AI. 2% of articles were written by AI last year. Today, 52% of articles were written by AI. Humanity is being replaced by slop. And we can't really allow that. So we will continue to have wrinkles. We'll continue to have stubble. We will continue to wear hoodies. Okay, I did mention a few months ago about me wearing a shirt and stuff like that. The last thing I want to do is look like an AI bot. And believe you me, I am certainly as far away from AI as you're likely to get. Now then, moving on very quickly, we've got 6 minutes. been a packed show. These are the 3 coins that we're going to be talking about: Pump.Fun, Pepe, and Floki. The meme coin market is sending mixed signals. While the category is still down 5% in the past week, prices are up 5% in the last 24 hours, hinting at renewed interest. Against this backdrop, 3 meme coins to watch stand out for very different reasons. Again, I don't talk about meme coins, but these 3 tokens up here are not meme coins. Just because they're called something doesn't mean they are. But we'll go through them one at a time. Right, Pump.Fun is not a meme coin. Okay, I don't know why anybody has categorized it as a meme coin. Pump.Fun is the bane of Solana. It's the black sheep. It's not needed. It's not wanted. It does more harm than good. But it doesn't mean that there isn't money to be made. And there is money to be made out of Pump.Fun. So it's up 6%, 9% over the last 7 days. Pump.Fun is not a meme coin by design. It's a launch platform where meme coins are created and traded. It is included here because CoinGecko classifies it under the meme coin category, and its recent move has materially influenced the performance of that category this week. Who wrote this garbage? Ananda. And then it was edited by Harsh. Well, you weren't harsh enough. In fact, I would change your name to Lax. Lax Notaria. Okay? You're not harsh. It's not a meme coin. But thank you anyway for putting that in there. Maybe what happened was, maybe Ananda wrote the article and Harsh went, it's not a meme coin. And then, where is he? Ananda went, yeah, but it's in the meme coin category. And Harsh went, yeah, but if it's in the meme coin category, it's not a meme coin. I'm going to have to put a note on there. So maybe that's the conversation they had. Or maybe I've just made the entire thing up. Who knows? Anyway, Pump.Fun for me is not a meme coin. Why? Does it add value to the customer? 95% of the time, no. But 5% of the time, yes. Does it generate turnover and a profit? Absolutely. Okay? Pump.Fun generates money. And no, it's not making $50 million a day or $100 million a day, whatever it was making it its prime. But it's still doing big numbers. So for me, Pump.Fun falls into that category where at some point it's going to have a renaissance. So again, Pump.Fun is a coin that I would tell you to look at. Do I like the platform? No. It's wrong in every way, shape or form, but it just makes money. So just have a look at that one. Pepe is an OG. Now this is the of the 3, this is the closest to a meme coin out there. It's up 35% over the last 7 days. It's down 14.5% as people take profits, which is fine. What I would say about Pepe is that had we had an alt season and then had we had the meme pump, Pepe would have been one of those coins that did incredibly well, I think. I don't hold any Pepe or SHIB. We used to give SHIB out on the channel 2 years ago because I like SHIB. Pepe it's probably nearing the end of its life, but it doesn't mean you can't make money out of it, in my opinion. Now, the one that I think will survive is Floki. Now, again, there's no comment on here about Floki. Floki, for me, is not a meme coin. Floki is a community project like Bonk, which has... Let me just find out. Let me just find something out. Because last time I checked, Floki was trying to apply for a banking license, and it has as far as I'm aware, a credit card associated with it, if I'm not mistaken. So it's got a metaverse, nobody cares about that. It's got a trading bot, everybody's got a trading bot. You can stake it out, nobody cares about that. It's got a DeFi platform, it's got NFTs, here we go, okay. So Floki's got its own debit card. Now, you can laugh at that as much as you want, but you can get a Floki debit card. Further down here, it's got university, it's got a name service, it's got the usual kind of rubbish that everybody else has got, but it's got a debit card. And as far as I'm aware, it is going to be applying for some kind of banking license, as far as I'm aware. And again, this is perfectly sums them up. the three pillars of Floki: community, utility, and charity. Meme coins, by definition, have no utility. Floki, as I've just shown you, is full of utility. Therefore, it's not a meme coin. We need a new category. We need a new category for meme coins that blew up and then did something useful with their money. And that would have Bonk in it. That would have Floki in it. That would have Mew in it, believe it or not. It would have a lot of these coins. They're not meme coins anymore. Anyway, from one meme to another meme, and that's the EU. I don't want cookies, thank you very much. EU economists warn delays on digital euro risk stablecoin dominance. EU economists are urging lawmakers to speed up the digital euro to protect monetary sovereignty and counter the growing influence of private stablecoins. This is what happens when you have what's called analysis by paralysis. It's quite hard to say. A lot of people talk about the fact that it costs billions to even plan out a project in the UK. People talk about the fact it takes years to plan anything out in the EU. And the reason is the EU and the UK are crap. Okay? They're crap at everything, right? They can't do anything. They've gone from doers to not even deciders. They've gone from doers to thinking about doing. And you compare that to America. Okay? America is also, in some states, guilty of this. You look at China, not so much. You look at India, not so much. So I think what happens in any society, you get to the point of a bottleneck where you have somebody in charge of, wildlife welfare when you're about to build a nuclear power plant. Okay? Diversity quotas when building a nuclear power plant. Neither of those things should be mentioned in the same breath as building a nuclear power plant. Okay? The fit for purpose, the excellence is going out of Western civilization, and it's not going out of it because we don't have the brains. It's going out of it because we paralyze everything. How many unicorns have been built in Europe in the last 20-25 years? I've said this before. Revolut is probably the only one. Look at America and look at all the companies that have come out of America, and then look at all the companies that have come out of the EU. Okay? The EU is garbage. Okay? Not the people. Okay? Not the countries with hundreds of years of history. Not the architecture. The EU itself is garbage. It needs to be done in a different way, and it needs entrepreneurial spirit. Why try and build anything if you're not going to get approval? You need 16 licenses and you're going to be taxed to the hilt. You're not going to bother. You know where you're going to go? You're going to go to Dubai. You're going to go to America. Simple as that. They are now saying, because we are so crap, we now need to get a move on. When has the EU ever done anything quickly? They're rubbish at everything, and they're not going to fix it because the people in there are the problem. There is no can-do attitude. There is a can-meet attitude, will-meet attitude, let's discuss attitude, let's have a conference in 2 years' time about it attitude. They are useless. Now, there are departments that work. Obviously, the agricultural department, the fisheries, they all work brilliantly because the people in there know what they're doing. But when it comes to stuff like this, Ursula Van Dress, or whatever she was called, was trying to outlaw crypto 12 months ago. We're not going to do this. It's garbage. It's going to cost you a load of money. You're all a load of idiots, blah, blah, blah. And now it's a case of, we know what? We need to get a move on. And this is symptomatic of how crap they are. And there is no other word for it. They are crap. And if I was starting a business today, I'd go to Dubai or America. I would not set up a business in Europe. Okay? It's rubbish. Okay? Mate, you know what, actually? I take that back. I think India, in certain instances, with regards to Web3, I would go to India. But it would have to be a place that's got major infrastructure, a skilled work base, and openness to entrepreneurship. India has that, and I know a lot of Indian people will say, no, it hasn't, but it has. I would look at America, because America is the place you should have. In the last 60 years, it was the best place to go. But now Dubai, and especially in the development zone of Dubai, you would go there. And not necessarily just because of the tax breaks, but that's where the majority of people leaving the UK are going to Dubai or America. So why would you build anything in the UK? Keir Starmer is not a pro-business Prime Minister. Ursula van Dres is not a pro-business head of the EU. So why would you set up there? You wouldn't. Anyway, I am watching this stream in your job. I think you said that, so I can't reply. Don't worry about that. Mags, hello. Right, we're going to go. It is 12:05. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I don't know if I'm going to... We haven't got a quiz. We haven't got a quiz for Wednesday. We have got a quiz for the following Wednesday, which is Wolfies, which I'm going to put the banner up on the screen in a bit. So we do have a Wolfies quiz for next Wednesday. But the Oracle is working on something to expand the quiz. So keep your eye out on that. We'll see how long it takes him. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you to Mags, Manjeet, Kishan, KB, Solo Sky. Don't think I've missed anybody else in there. Thank you to everybody that's watching on Binance Square. The Oracle is back on Thursday. The reason I'm talking about the quiz, I don't know if I might stream every day this week. I don't know yet. I might. If not, I'm definitely doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to do at least 4, maybe 5. But thank you to everybody, and I will see you all, maybe see you all in the morning. Take care.